All right, hello everybody. My name is Kai Burval and welcome to this webinar today on how to create stunning videos using SketchUp and Enscape. Welcome everyone. As always, we're going to take a couple of minutes to wait for everyone to arrive. In that time, we can do some housekeeping. The webinar is scheduled for roughly 45 minutes. We will have a Q&A towards the end. So you're welcome if you have any questions to type them into the questions field that you should see, I think, below the video stream. The webinar is being recorded. So if you want to rewatch it later, or if anybody doesn't have time to attend, you will get an email containing the recording after the webinar is ended, roughly an hour after it ended. I hope that everything will turn out fine. I'm currently trying to share my webcam, but I've encountered some unexpected problems with my computer just a couple minutes ago. So I apologize if you can't see my webcam right now. Also, if I hope we'll stay online and the computer won't crash. If that happens, I'll be back as soon as possible. Again, we're going to have a look at how to create videos using Enscape and SketchUp. However, although SketchUp is in the title, these principles, these techniques really apply to any Enscape plugin, to any Enscape iteration. So whether you're using Enscape with SketchUp or Rhino, Archicad, Vectorworks, or Revit, you can create videos using these techniques with each and every one of them. Also you might notice a low frame rate. So currently I'm orbiting around this point in my scene, and you probably see about 1 or 2 frames per second. That is due to GoToWebinar that we use to host these web sessions. So please be aware that Enscape, of course, runs perfectly fluently and smooth for me, and it's just the this stream that has a low frame rate. So I apologize for that, but please be aware that if you try Enscape yourself, of course, it will run as smooth for you as it does for me, although it's not perfectly apparent. Apart from that, as always, please be aware that if there are any topics that you would like to discuss today, if they don't get covered, you can also just go to our website, which is enscape3d.com. And at the very bottom, you can request a free personal demo. So you can schedule a meeting with us down here to talk about any topic that you might be interested in. If you run into any issues using Enscape, or if you have a particular project you have troubles with, or if you want to share feedback with us on how to further improve the software, we're always happy to get in touch. Apart from that, of course, if you want to visit our website, this is where you can get a free trial as well. If you haven't tried Enscape yourself yet, you can download it by clicking on this button here, and you can use it for free for 14 days to test everything in your own pace. Also, by the way, of course, we have some great video tutorials with some onboarding learning paths, which I currently access through the learn portion up here, video tutorials. So feel free to have a look at that. If you are new to Enscape, you can also have a look at the knowledge base here. You can also get in touch with our forum users and share your experiences. But if you're really new to Enscape and want to get started, I recommend to go to enscape3d.com, click learn video tutorials, and have a look at these onboarding tutorials. However, you will also get a link to these in the follow-up email that you'll receive after this webinar has ended. And of course, as you can imagine, there is also a video on, let's click on full video playlist, and there is a video on how to create videos using Enscape in here as well. But this is just 5 minutes long. I tried to put as much knowledge in there as possible. However, of course, today we'll get to discuss this in way more detail. I am using Enscape 3.0. So if you are using Enscape 2.9 or older, you might recognize that we have a different user interface. So if you want to get up to speed with Enscape as soon as possible, I recommend to download the latest version and use Enscape 3.0. There is a question already in there, but it seems like it would take a while to read it. So I hope it's okay if I get back to that later on. All right, so at this point, most of the people should have entered the webinar. Once again, please be aware, this is being recorded, so you will get a recording later on. If you have to drop off, or if you have some important appointment or something like that, don't worry, we've got you. You will get an email with the recording of this webinar sent later on. And once again, we are discussing how to create great and stunning videos, not just with Enscape or SketchUp, but pretty much with Enscape in general. So let's get started right away. This is a intermediate webinar, so if you're totally new to Enscape and the interface is looking absolutely strange, once again, you can go to our video tutorials on our website, or you can also schedule a web session with us on said website for training, for questions, or whatever you might have in mind. All right, and also, once again, I'm sorry I'm not sharing my webcam. Next time again. Okay, so let's have a look at that. How to create a video using Enscape. What you want to do is, first of all, open the video editor. You can do that either by clicking on this button up here in the Enscape interface, or you can press the V key on your keyboard to open the same interface. This is what it looks like. We will have a tour through what exactly this all means. It is meant to be as simple and as self-explanatory to use as possible, but still, I'll be happy to guide you through that. But first things first, to show you how the video editor works, we will need some keyframes. So that's what we're going to create. A keyframe, if you've never heard this before, if you have been using other video or other rendering softwares or other animation softwares or anything like that, you probably know what a keyframe is. If not, a keyframe originally stems from Disney animation, so from cartoons, from drawings, and a keyframe is pretty much the most exaggerated part or point of a animation, of a movement. So in the past, animators that drew images, that drew animated cartoons would first block out a movement, like a character that is dancing or something like that, would block out these using keyframes, using the most exaggerated movements every couple of frames, and then fill in these outlines, so to say, with other frames. We today, in the year 2021, we have the benefit of our computer doing this for us, but we still need to set up keyframes themselves to tell Enscape what kind of video do we actually want to create. So you can say a keyframe is a point in time and space that the camera will later on fly through when rendering, while creating the actual video. To create a keyframe, you can press this plus button down here on the right side, or you can press the K key on your keyboard. So that's what I'm going to do. Okay, and we have placed our first keyframe. This is what it looks like in Enscape, an orange camera. And we also see it not just here as camera, but also down here as a tiny little triangle on our timeline. So of course we have just one keyframe right now. So if we were to export a video, nothing much would happen. So we'd need at least 2 keyframes. I'm going to move a little bit to the right side, press K again. Once again, we could also press this plus button down here to create that. Or at this point already, actually, we can also press the plus button on the left side here. Let me highlight that for you. There we go. This plus button here to place a keyframe before your first keyframe. Truth be told, you probably won't or will use this particular button quite rarely, because if you have to place an additional keyframe before your first starting frame, you might get the start of your video wrong. But if that's the case, you can still do it that way. Also, you see that we now have not just this starting triangle down here, but also this diamond shape in the middle and this triangle on the right side. Let me highlight them even further. We have this one, and that one. So this depicts our camera path, our to-be video, just the same as these cameras in the actual Enscape interface or in the actual Enscape view show what our video is going to look like. And you see that Enscape has already connected them automatically with a camera path, and you see these arrows shapes on the camera path to see what direction you're going to move in. We can click any of these cameras or any of these triangles or diamond shapes down here to enter that perspective and edit the camera. So once you've pressed the K key and once you've placed a camera, it's not set in stone. You can still enter into that perspective, move somewhere else, press enter to update it, or press the update button here on the left, and then you can press escape once to get back into your camera path view and see the entirety of your camera path in front of you. And you see the middle camera in our path has changed, and yeah, it has changed its location. If you're wondering why this little diamond shape down here, by the way, is not exactly in the middle, it's simply because this camera is closer to this camera here than to that one. So it's showing us the position of our cameras time-wise. So if a camera is being reached sooner because it's closer to the first camera, it's being depicted more to the left down here. If we move it further to the right, click update and escape to exit, you see the diamond shape in the middle has moved further to the right, and the portion in between the first and the second keyframe is larger now. So with this knowledge already, you can block out a sophisticated camera path. You can also add additional cameras onto or in between other cameras like that, or other keyframes like that, by simply clicking anywhere on the camera path. So that's like that. I'm just going to move it somewhere else. And you see we now have 4 cameras, and still our camera path is smoothed out and will create a high quality video. If you want to see what your camera path will look like at any point, you can press this play button down here, or press the P key on your keyboard, P like preview or play. And if this is already a little bit much in shortcuts, in keys on your keyboard that you can press, please be aware that we have this handy question mark icon here at the upper right. And if you click that, it will always give you a handy feedback both on the general movement in Enscape, but also here in the video editor tab. It will give us handy tips on how to use the video editor and what keys to push in order to get the results you're looking for. So we have add keyframe, preview from keyframe, or in general, we'll cover that in a second, new video path, or exit keyframe with the escape key. Yeah, that is already also a handy tip that many users oftentimes don't know. If you press P or the play button down here outside of a camera path, you will see the preview of that camera path right from the beginning. But if you have a longer camera path that you're working on, and you probably want to see, let's actually add another keyframe somewhere really distinguishably else, like this, to see, or let's add a couple. Let's maybe move towards here and have a look at this silent lake here with no waves on it. So let's say I wanted to review this particular portion of my video path and don't want to wait for the first portion to be finished. I can also just enter any keyframe and press P in there, or once again, the play button down here. And this will show me the video from this point on. So you don't have to wait every single time. you can start your preview right from where you want. All right, so as I said, this could also could already be a quite satisfying video if that's what you're going for. To export, to create an actual rendering or an actual video, you can always press the export button down here. And if I were to export this, we have a 41-second video here already. Just to show you how this is done, I'm going to press the export button down here and check the resolution settings, check the compression quality, check the frames per second. I'm fine with all of that. You can of course change it however way you want. If you were to select lossless here in compression quality, you would get a series of PNG images, not an MP4 file, which Enscape is creating by default. If you choose maximum or Blu-ray or web, it will create a series of PNG images. So if that's what you want, you can definitely go there, but you will need some third-party software to combine those images to an actual video. So maximum is the ideal way, in my opinion, to go for. And that's also the default setting. So let's press export. Let's choose a folder where to save the video file. Press OK, whatever it was. And Enscape will start exporting the video. Once again, in full HD, 1080p, in maximum quality. And that's a 41-second video, as, by the way, we see down here. And still it is rendering it in an immense speed. As you see, 10% is already done. So if you don't mind me taking a look at the question that has been posted already, maybe we'll be done with the video until I've read it. Let's see. Oh, that sounds interesting. Many of our residential clients already have a PlayStation 5 video game console connected to a large panel TV in their living room. Will Enscape support any type of software that will enable us to supply clients with data online, which can then enable them to create their own walkthroughs in their own time, changing time of day, lighting, etc., as they choose? So this sounds to me as if you are asking for, well, Enscape on a PlayStation 5 apparently, or at least to be able to create videos on a PlayStation 5. Unfortunately, we've been asked this in the previous generation with the PlayStation 4. Already Enscape for PlayStation 4 would be amazing. However, PlayStation itself is such a hermetically it's a very enclosed system. So short answer is there are no plans, or there's no way for us at this point to get data onto a PlayStation 4 or PlayStation 5, and it's quite a challenge to enter that system. So if you want to share, let me try one more time. It sounds like you want to enable your clients to create videos. The quickest way is possibly to get them to download the Enscape trial and show them this webinar, or show them one of our onboarding tutorials on how to create videos using Enscape, and share your project with them and let them do it themselves. I think if they have a PlayStation 5, honestly, they probably also have a computer that can run Enscape. So I would recommend that. Apart from that, I don't see any short-term solution to that question. But thanks a lot. It was interesting. And yeah, as mentioned, we are almost done with this rendering. There's another question. Let's see. Can you increase the time between the second last and last keyframe? We'll talk about that later on during this webinar. I'm pretty sure I know what you mean. Let's first review the video we've just created, just to preview that it has actually happened. And here we are. Once again, you just see a low frame rate. I apologize for that, but this is perfectly smooth, and the trees are waving in the wind, and yeah, the movement is already nice. So this is how easily you can create a video using Enscape. But we have a little time left in the webinar, just 20 minutes gone. So let's have a closer look at the interface, and then also share some experience from, I've been doing release videos, etc., for Enscape for 5 years now. So I want to share some key insights from that with you as well. First of all, let's have, I see there's a couple of questions coming in, that's nice. Let's first have another look at the interface. Let's begin in the top left corner. Here is, first of all, the X that you can use to close the video editor. Same thing if you press Escape one more time, it will close the video editor, or yeah, I think that's pretty much it. Then below that, you have the video path. Oh yeah, sorry. Is V going to close it? Yeah, V is going to close the video editor as well, and once again, reopen it. Below that, you have the video path setting here, where you can choose to create a new video path. And you know what? That's actually, no, I'm going to save it first. So I can save this video path that I've created before, this one, and reload it later on if I want to, or use it in a different project, or use it later on when the project has progressed. I want to show some changes, and then you can export it twice, the video, and show the transitions or the progress you've made with nice transitions in a video. Gonna have a look at that later on. First of all, let's save this video path in my documents folder and click new video path. And this will delete the video path we've created so far. Yeah, I just see the question, was the video smooth on your end? It was not on ours. That's exactly what I say. That is the GoToWebinar platform we're using here to share those webinars. Yes, the video was absolutely smooth on my end. You can pretty much watch any Enscape release video or yeah, any of our outputs, and you'll see those videos are indeed perfectly smooth, 30 frames per second, no stuttering or anything. The low frame rate you're experiencing, that is due to the GoToWebinar platform that we're using to hold these webinars. Okay, let's continue in our review of the interface. So up here, as you've seen, is where you can create a new camera path, load one, or save it to a file to reuse it later. Below that is the general portion of the video editor. And here you can enable grid lines. Grid lines, as you see on the camera here, are, well, they're used in photography. If you've ever looked through the lens of a analog or digital camera, you've probably seen these before. Those are being used to use the rule of thirds. That's, of course, as photography itself, a huge topic on its own. As much as I understand from it is you probably want to have your detail usually located somewhere at these points here. So somewhere where those lines overlap, that is a good rule to go by. And in general, it is great to have this enabled to really maybe remind you of the fact that photography is, the principles of photography are or can be applied to video as well. So what you're doing when you're creating a video path is actually you're searching for a series of perspectives, of motives that you'll use, or that then will be connected by a video path. But essentially, it is very much like photography and looking for nice perspectives, just like this one maybe. As you see, we have our highlight points very much arranged at these overlapping grid lines, and yeah, just going on and gathering nice perspectives. Maybe something like this. Pressing a K. Then let's move back to our pond here, or whatever you want to call it. Maybe let's align those things somewhere here. Maybe something like this. Let's go maybe back. Not, I mean, that is a good rule of thumb to keep your details at those overlapping grid lines, but don't do it every single time. It's the most important thing you want to go by is your personal gut feeling as an artist, and really just find nice perspectives to connect, and keep in mind how the camera might be moving in the end, and try to search for nice highlight shots that look good by itself, and then chances are high you will have a great outcome as a video as well. Once again, you see just a low frame rate right now. For me, this is perfectly smooth. Once again, that is due to GoToWebinar and the service we're using to host these webinars. Also, if you don't mind me straying away from our user interface review right now, but okay, we're hitting the wall here. We'll tackle that in a second. But also keep in mind of your movement, or keep in mind how you're moving, because one thing that I oftentimes see is, first of all, people that are trying to cram as many keyframes on as little space as possible because they really want to have the fine control over very precise movement there. And I would say let go of that. Or I mean, that is something that I have stumbled into, or that I'm guilty of in the past myself. But I have found the most important thing when working with keyframes is not adding keyframes to your video path, but removing them, because Enscape is interpolating the camera path smoothly, as good as it gets, or as good as possible. And the more keyframes you are adding to the camera path, the harder it gets for Enscape to smooth your path out. And essentially, less is more in terms of keyframes and video paths. So it's really good when you've blocked out a camera path like that, to really go in and think about which keyframe do I really need and which one can I get rid of. And usually that will improve your camera path. Once again, think of, pressing the P key, having a look at what you're creating, and yeah, just trust your gut feeling there and be creative. Also, be mindful of detail versus simple camera paths, and that is a topic that I want to touch on later. Namely, you don't need Enscape to create a full video. You can export multiple video paths, multiple video exports, and then combine them later on in an external video editing software, like, for example, the Windows video editor that is being installed automatically with Windows 10, or Premiere, or any other external 3D software. Create a series of shots using the Enscape video editor and combine them in a third-party video software. Put some music behind it, and vary between complex video paths and simple video paths. Once again, this video editor as we have it here. Let me actually save the camera path for later, and let's create a new one. What we're discussing here, all of these tricks on how to create video paths, really tempt people, or really drive people oftentimes to make very complex video paths, and that go for 20-30 seconds and are doing some loops and moving back and forth or whatever. Oftentimes that is not necessary. A good camera path can be something like having a keyframe here and having another keyframe 20 centimeters to the left. Okay, if we review this now, we have a 1 second video. I hope you've seen it with a low frame rate. Once again, I apologize for that. That's not really interesting, but I can use the total duration setting here to extend it. And let's say we want to make this not 1 second, but rather 20 seconds. If I press P now, we will see this. We are standing still. We are slowly gaining speed. And the reason for that is this ease in out option, by the way. So ease in and out option, the ease in and out option means that we will start slowly, gain speed, and then lose speed towards the end again, and in a standstill. Whether you want to use that or not is totally up to you. I like to disable it because I like continuous movement. And have a look at this. We really just have a 2 keyframe video path extended to 20 seconds, disable ease in and out. And this can work on its own. If you embed it into additional video paths using a third-party video software, this is really gold. You can have, you know, a first shot flying into your building, highlighting everything, cut, and then something calm like this, where you're just moving from left to right, or from right to left, or maybe flying slowly towards your building or from or away from it. Those little movements really are nice to look at. So I really want to emphasize it. Don't always go for the most complex video path, rather combine multiple video paths and go for complex sometimes, then lighten it up with a simple, with a straightforward camera path such like this. And trust me, that will improve your video creation a lot, and it will be appreciated by your viewers as well. Especially if you want to add some additional some additional quality to it by entering one of these keyframes and using one of the keyframe overrides we have here. These keyframe overrides are attributes that you can key per keyframe, that you can set per keyframe. So if you have a complex camera path, you can you can control all of these parameters however you want throughout the video. I want to use this simple setup that we have now to highlight what these do first of all. So let's begin with the time of day setting here. And this is set to 1:30 p.m. We can just click it, enable it, of course, using this checkbox, and then you can enter a time, or you can use these arrows to switch to an earlier time, for example. Maybe this, let's see what that looks like. So I'll start at 7:30 a.m. And by the way, you also see now a little circle, a dot down here at the time of day timeline. So that's also very, very useful, especially if you're creating very complex camera paths, to see where, in what keyframe you have keyed what value. So for timestamp, for time of day, focal point, and field of view, we have separate timelines down here where you can see the changes that you've made there. So, however, of course, we have just set one value. So if I press P to preview what I have, well, we have a different daytime now, but nothing is changing. If we want some changes to happen, we'll switch to the last keyframe. Let's go there and enable time of day here as well and go for a different value. Let's go with, let's go all the way to 11:30 a.m. and see what that looks like. And if I were to exit the keyframes now, you also see a visual highlight here that the time of day has been keyed for these two keyframes. So if I press P now, we see some actual changes happening. We'll see the clouds moving across the sky, the sun's rising, we have some, time changes, and also the whole video appears much more lifelike, much more entertaining as well. So use this. And once again, we have a very nice contrast here between the fast moving clouds in the sky and the really slow and calm camera. And you also have to keep in mind that the camera movement's really the alter ego, so to say, for the viewer. So the viewer feels put in place of the camera. So if you're moving too fast, too hectical, people will notice that. Too hectically, people will notice that and will feel uncomfortable. And calm shots like this in between are really, really useful to lighten up the video, so to say, or to ease the viewer when reviewing the video. Okay, so that's the time of day change. Next thing is the focal point change, or the focal point override attribute, whatever you want to call it. And if we change this, we see nothing much is happening. So I'm going to disable this for now, and I'm going to switch to the visual settings that we can find up here and go to, we're right already. So in the main tab here, we have the depth of field setting, and that's what this particular value is referring to, the focal point depth of field. Why? Because if I enable depth of field, we now see we have a DSLR camera effect going on in the background. So we have a certain distance from our camera lens being displayed sharpened or clear, and everything that is closer to the camera or further away will appear blurred, which means you can control the focus of the viewer really using this. And that can be a tool of storytelling as well. So with the focal point value enabled, we can now control the distance from the camera that is being displayed the sharpest. And that is being highlighted by this little white line that you see there. And let's just pick the person here sitting on the bench to start with. And today, or this time, I'm going to use one of these buttons here, the left and right button, to switch to the next keyframe. And let's change the focal point value here as well, namely to the background to our actual building. And once again, this can be a nice storytelling tool. Looks to me like the person on the bench is still the sharpest, right? This is interesting. Let's see. I'll just save it like that and see what happens. So let's press P, preview. And we should see a transition there. Not that much yet. Well, this is interesting. Maybe that is an issue in the current. Let me actually just for a second have a look at what exactly is happening here. I'll be back to the video path in a second. Let's really dial this up. And oh, sorry, yeah, obviously I know what the issue was. I didn't disable autofocus. So yeah, you have to disable autofocus and enable depth of field. So that was my issue here. And that allows you to control the distance of the focal point. Let's see, let's dial depth of field way up to see we're right. And yeah, we see the person here is now sharpened. And if we move it back, the building is now sharpened. So yeah, crucial learning here. Please make sure to disable autofocus as well, because otherwise Enscape will try to find the ideal point to focus for you. So now if we press P to preview, we should definitely see a transition from our person being sharpened here slowly to the back to our building getting in focus. And once again, this can be a nice storytelling tool, especially if what you're focusing first is really close to the camera and what you're focusing second is further away. So that can be used to really control the viewer's attention. All right, let's see. The last attribute here we can key is the field of view. I won't highlight this in a video right now or in a preview, because I think it's self-explanatory. You can zoom in or out using that. So also creates really nice videos. Instead, I'm going to export another video here and have a look at the questions. There's been a couple of questions coming in. So let's see. I'm pretty sure the video will be finished before I can answer all of them. Does the new version include the date along with the time of day? No, I'm sorry, but thank you for the feature request. If you'd like to share your feedback with us, please send us an email to support@enscape3d.com or post it in the forums and share your feature request with us there, and we'll be happy to discuss it with our developers. Can you have a render node help out your computer? No, because Enscape is a real-time rendering software, as you know, and because of that, it is running on your graphics card, on one single graphics card at a time. So it's not possible to outsource the rendering process to multiple rendering cores. Was that video smooth on your end? We had that before. Yes, once again, everything you see is happening smoothly on my end. It is GoToWebinar that is causing the low frame rate. Can you set up a fixed amount of time between keyframes? Yes, you can. And we're going to look into this right in a second once the video is finished. to also answer the first question, whether or not it is possible to increase the time between the second to last and last keyframe. Is it possible to see different options of the same project? Yes, absolutely, Andrea. However, once again, it's ideally use a third-party video software to combine those videos. So the approach I would use to show different stages of one project is to set up a rendering path, render the video, save the video path. That is most crucial. Once again, you do that up here, and then continue working on your project, or change, to a different design option, or change whatever you want. Load in the video path again, render out the same video again, and now you will have the exact same video of two different versions of the same project, and you can then mix them any way you'd like with a third-party video software, which means you can transition between those in any way you want, and this really makes for stunning effects. Absolutely. Let's have a look at the video we've just created. Once again, I'm sorry, the frame rate will be low. For you, at least, that is. For me, it's going to be fine. There we are. But you should still see that we have a beautiful, nice, smooth transition, and also maybe the calming effect of this really as simple as it gets shot, still being a powerful storytelling tool, and really useful to put the viewer into the position of what that building is going to look like and feel like once it's built, to convince them, yes, that's where I want to live in the future, for example. So I wanted to get back to the question of whether it is possible to set up a certain time in between keyframes, or change the time in between the second to last and last keyframe. So let's save the path one more time if we haven't done so yet, and let's open camera path number 1. There we go. And now let's say we want to set a certain time, let's say, for example, between this keyframe and this keyframe here, because that's a long stretch, and we want to move slowly, let's say here and there, but we want to move fast here. I'm sorry for my handwriting, it was never good. So if I want to set a certain time in here, I'll first click on keyframe number 1. So let me highlight it one more time. There we go. I'll click on this, and I'll check out at what time we're going to reach this keyframe. More so, as you see, currently it is second 7. More so, I want to enable this timestamp value, and therefore save it as it is. Because if we were just to go to, this keyframe over here and changed it to, for example, second 10 or whatever, it would affect the entire path that came before that. And we don't want that. We want this first portion to stay as slow as it was, or stay untouched. So because of that, I enabled the timestamp value for the keyframe that is ending this part, and keep it just as it is. And now I'm going to go to this camera over there and change the value. Right now we're reaching this at second 29. So we can do the math, and we'll come to 22 seconds in between the previous keyframe and this one. Let's jump back, second 7, second 29. So if I want to have, let's say, this this stretch, if I want to move that in 10 seconds, all I have to do is to add 10 to 7, and I'll get 17. And if we want to slow down now again, we'll do the same thing. We could either enter the this camera, or I wanted to say this one. Yeah, but that's the other question that has been asked, because in the last keyframe, as you see, you cannot add a timestamp. Before Enscape 3.0, that was possible. It is no longer possible with Enscape 3.0. So if we wanted to change the timestamp, or if we wanted to change the speed of this entire stretch here, we could go with this keyframe, because it will be the last timestamp value we add, and that affects the speed for the entire camera path to follow, or we could add another keyframe just before the last keyframe, that is the second to last keyframe, and change the timestamp here. So we were reaching, we were finishing that first stretch at second 7, finishing that second stretch at second 17. So we have 5 seconds admiring our pond here. I want this to be, let's see, maybe, let's go with second 27. So we have 10 seconds in total moving across this pond here. Let's exit and let's review what we have. So that's second, oh, wait a second. I'll first disable my depth of fields because we want to see sharp, haha. And there we go. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 slow. Now we're gaining speed, and within 10 seconds we're moving to that second stretch. Okay, we're not gaining that much speed, but I hope it's visible. And now we're slowing down again and having a look at the pond and really taking our time to admire that. Actually, this wasn't as nice of an example as I wanted, so let me go there and dial this down to second 12 because I really want to show you how you can change, how you can affect the pace throughout the video. And now we also see this is where we've set our first timestamp, so this is second 7. This is now second 12. And this is the last one. So we will take all this time to admire our pond now. So let's have a look at what that looks like. Press P. Oh, sorry, I was in that keyframe, of course. So we start our preview right there. I want to start from the beginning. So here we are, until second 7, everything stays the same as we had it initially. And now we have a jump, a leap to our second stage. And now slowing down really because we're now somewhere around here, slowly going around our pond. Try it yourself. Using these techniques really helps you create nice videos. Yeah, I was still in the midst of actually explaining the user interface when creating a new video. Let me just check if there's anything that was missing. Of course, you can also, place another keyframe in between 2 keyframes on the timestamp where your camera is at the moment. So keep that in mind if you do that, because you can really derange your camera path. Apart from that, that was pretty much the user interface. We have the delete keyframe trash bin right here that we can use to get rid of this keyframe again. We have the update button, of course. If I haven't mentioned it before, you use that to update the position of your camera. And you have these buttons down here to move back and forth between the keyframes. So I think, we've covered the entire user interface, and we're already in the questions and answers portion of the video. So let me have a look at the other questions there. The videos that I am making are not smooth and look like the video you just showed. Anything to adjust the jumping of frame rate? That sounds really interesting because I'm not really sure if there's, it sounds, I mean, you are exporting your videos by clicking the export button down here. Oh yeah, sorry, I know what's the issue. I'm pretty sure that the videos are being exported smoothly, but it's the video player that you're using. David, if you don't mind me naming your first name, if your videos that you're exporting with Enscape are jumpy, I'm fairly confident you're not exporting them in full HD, but in Ultra HD, which isn't an issue actually. But I'm also pretty sure that you are viewing them in the Windows media player that you see here. And this Windows media player is really can be affected by large video scale, or it's not really apparently coded effectively. So my tip for you is have a look at your videos using the VLC media player which you can download, you know, from the internet. There we go. Which you can download from the internet, and your videos will look smooth in this video player. Prove me wrong. If that's not the solution for your problem, please go to our website and schedule a web session with us, and we'd be happy to look into your issue. But if your videos that you're exporting with Enscape are not running smoothly and are just a little bit jumpy, I'm pretty sure you're reviewing them using the the Windows video player, and with the VLC media player, it will be fine. And that's, you know, that's not an issue of the video or of Enscape at all. It's simply that the Windows media player apparently isn't the best to run high resolution video smoothly. Will the gridlines be available for the still images in Enscape 3D? Once again, you can definitely share that feedback with us in the forums or write us an email to support@enscape3d.com, or you can of course also go to where's my SketchUp there, to your interface and click this mail icon here to send us feedback. All of that is perfectly fine. I would have a trick for you. You can of course go into the video editor, show grid lines, and then, you know, find the perfect position, wherever you want to go with, then press the F key to create. Wait a second. Oh yeah, no. Let me rephrase that. Go into the video editor and be outside of a keyframe, and then press the F key, and you will switch to the view management, where you can then create a view. So you will have the correct position already. You can find it using the video editor, using the grid lines, and then switch over to view management to create a view wherever you have found your perfect position. Apart from that, please feel free to share your feedback with us, and we'll be happy to discuss it with the developers. Can you change the ratio of the size of the camera? For example, do a square video. Yes, you can, and I'll be happy to show you how, and also how you can review it during video creation. So the key to create, let me actually get rid of this video. Didn't like it from the first go anyways. And what you want to do is go to the visual settings in Enscape, go to output, and change the resolution, because the resolution, of course, is controlling the aspect ratio. Now here you can go to custom and enter any value you want. For example, a aspect ratio of 1.0, as you see here, a square resolution. And you can also, I think even if we just enable the video, no, it won't display it by default, but you can also click this icon right here, which is the save frame. And that will show you your view through Enscape with whatever resolution is set in the settings. So yeah, that would be your square video or a portrait video or whatever you want to go for. Is it possible to set an high of the camera? I'm not sure what you mean by that. If you can elaborate, I'd be happy to answer. I have done some videos previously, but I sometimes have issues of my building and site getting very dark once the rendering begins. Is there a way to keep my exposure setting the same in editing mode as they are when they render? That sounds really interesting. It sounds to me like maybe your auto exposure is enabled and you want to disable it. So auto exposure, for anyone that is new to that, is Enscape trying to mimic the human eye. So whenever you are, you know, in a bright space like outside and you go into a dark space like entering a room, your eye will adapt and brighten up the room, so to say. And Enscape is doing the same thing. So if you have sudden spikes or brightness changes in your video, it's pretty likely it's the auto exposure, you know, switching from bright to dark or something like that. Disable this setting and you should have a consistent brightness throughout. And if once again, if that doesn't solve the issue you're experiencing, then please set up a session with us and we'd be happy to look into that with you. Any plans to change grid lines? Other types. If you want to share with us what kind of grid lines you would be interested in, once again through the forums or by sending us a message, we'll be happy to discuss that with our developers. Absolutely, send them in. Keep the feedback coming. It's been a long day. Sorry. Has anyone found the camera path is inside a room? Wait, has anyone found the camera path is inside a room, say but when exporting, the camera transitions through the wall, i.e. can't be too close to a wall. I'm not exactly sure if I know what you're referring to, but I assume you have done something like this. You have gone, created a video, created a keyframe close to the wall, then go maybe somewhere here, have another keyframe close to the wall. And what Enscape is doing, of course, is this. It will smoothen out the camera path and you will hit that wall and move through it. The solution to that is place another keyframe right in between, move it a little forward, press update, and you will no longer be hitting that wall. So it sounds to me like it's really the smoothing or the curve that is being created by Enscape automatically that makes you move through that wall. And in that case, the solution definitely is additional keyframes. Please kindly send video recording of this webinar after when it is finished. Thank you in advance. Very happily going to do so. More precisely, it is automated. So you're going to get an email containing the link to this recording in roughly an hour. Don't worry. Is it possible to move the orange camera instead to update the keyframe? The orange camera is the keyframe. It sounds to me like you want to grab this camera and move it somewhere else. That is not possible at the moment. Once again, if you want to share that feedback with us, don't hesitate to do so. But if you to really answer your question, if you're moving the keyframe, you're also moving the orange camera. Anyway, to change the grass detail, I like the old version of the grass rendering better. Grass looks like cotton balls now. Really? Let's see, cotton balls now. I know it's not the main subject right now. Quick word would be nice. I don't think we have changed anything about the grass rendering actually, unless you're referring, to, Enscape 2.1 or something like that. If the grass looks different for you, once again, feel free to schedule a web session with us and we'll look into this for you. One thing that I could imagine has changed might be your shadow. Where are we? There. Your shadow, not brightness. Where are we? Wait a second. Oh, sorry, no, yeah, shadow sharpness down here. This doesn't change too much about the grass as well, but I could imagine that might have an effect. Otherwise, please feel free to get in touch. And sounds like something we should have a look at. Maybe you have a comparison. Can I change the background HDR image to my own, not one of the standards? Absolutely. You can go to Sky, and instead of one of the presets here, you can select Skybox. And either you have your own Skybox, you can create those using a mobile phone, for example, or you can go to something like hdrihaven.com, where you can get plenty of skyboxes of any kind, and you can load these into Enscape right away and use them. Absolutely. Let's see. Click this button here, and you have your skybox right there. Ideally, also enable brightest point of sun direction, so Enscape will anticipate the sun location, and you will have consistent shadows with your skybox all the time. Also, if it looks a little dark like this, you can of course change the brightness of the skybox to match your project feel. Okay, let's see. Will the people ever move in Enscape? We are considering doing something like movement in place. Doing something like paths that people move along is really difficult because we have to keep your design application in mind, like Revit, SketchUp, etc. But that's a topic for a different webinar. What about new Apple silicons? Is there some change to have Enscape native on Mac OS? We definitely are, talking about this topic a lot, and of course we would love to support Mac someday in the future. We will keep you updated on that. I can't say more than that at this point. Once the video is complete, can you extend the overall length of the clip? Once the video is complete, absolutely. Once you have a finished video that you want to change the overall length of, once again, you can of course just add an additional keyframe to the end. But if you want to change the overall length proportionally, you can just change the total duration. And yeah, I could show this, but I mean, we're running a little bit out of time. But if you change the total duration here, this is in seconds, minutes, and hours, you will change the length, the duration, the speed proportionally throughout the entire video. When are you planning to create a Discord server? what would you be interested what would you like to discuss with us on a Discord server? Once again, feel free to share your opinion with us. This sounds interesting. I would be in. I felt the 2.8 video editor interface was far easier to navigate in increasing time between frames. Once again, feel free to share your feedback. Honestly, the development of Enscape is really relying on your feedback as a community. Go to the forums, share your opinion with us. The more of you to share your opinion with us, the better our product management and development will know what is important to you as a community, and that is really what we need to give you a great result. So if you felt like that, if you haven't shared your opinion in the forums yet, go ahead, go in there. It's enscape3d.com forum, share your opinion. Absolutely. I think there might even be in feedback and questions, there might already be a topic on that. So feel free to add your opinion. Absolutely fine for us. We love to get into, we love your feedback and the discussions. You can grab the diamonds and drag them in the timeline. No, I'm sorry. Once again, if that's a feature request, feel free to share it with us in the forums. How to vary elevation of cameras. You can fly up and down using E and Q on your keyboard in fly mode. If you want to change the height of the camera somewhere in human scale, so to say, you can also go to the render window settings input and change the spectator height here and use that little trick to change the scale of the cameraman, so to say. You can do that as well. Any plans for animation of assets in the future? I mentioned that. Can you explain walking versus fly mode? I think that would help a lot of people. I think that is, I'm going through that in the onboarding tutorial. So feel free to watch, the video tutorials on our website. And it is being explained there. Honestly, it's just, being able to fly and also using E and Q to fly up and down versus pressing space now in walk mode, being constrained to the ground and no longer being able to move through walls. I know we're a little bit on overtime. I hope you're sticking with me here. I just want to really answer the last few questions that we have here to be done with it and have everyone, have their questions answered. Do you have moving people in? Oh, okay. No moving people at this point. How to do a flyover? I would say I hope I've explained that during this webinar. If not, schedule a web session with us, a meeting, and we'd be happy to go with you to go through it with you one by one. The short carpet keyword still looks like grass in my renders, and the short grass is not short enough. Share your feedback with us in the forums. As a part of the animation function, it would be great to see moving people along the footpath or cars. I would really love to, file feature requests during this webinar, but none of you would like to watch that. So feel free to share your opinion with us in the forums or send us a message to support@enscape3d.com. Thanks a lot. I think we have covered most questions here. So thank you for your patience. I hope you've learned something. I hope it was interesting. Thank you for your feedback, as always. See all of you in the forums. If you get some beautiful results, share it with us. That's really the best thing in our day, to see what our users are creating in beautiful content using Enscape. Until then, have a great time. Stay safe, everyone. Stay healthy. Have lots of fun and success using Enscape, and see you next time. Goodbye.